Hello, movie friends, and welcome back to the show. This is Anthony.
And this is James. Today we're going to be doing some fun adventure films, a couple of guilty pleasure movies as well, The Mummy and National Treasure. And I think particularly The Mummy is one of my all-time favorite adventure films. It's just such a blast. It's like iconic and so nostalgic, and it reminds me so much of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Yeah, this is a time when the big swashbuckling adventure,
Swashbuckling.
Pirates was coming out. You know, National Treasure had a few movies. The Mummy had a few movies. And so we had these epic, fun, family-friendly, just adventure movies that are just a good time. They don't take themselves too seriously. And they all have, like, unique takes, whereas The Mummy, we love ancient cultures. And I was obsessed with ancient Egypt when I was in school.
Yeah, we were so obsessed with ancient Egypt that we had our own canopic jars. Like, they were, like, nice little mini canopic jars that we begged our parents to get us for, like, Christmas or something.
But those are my favorite subjects to study in history class, like the months when we would do ancient Egypt and learn about the culture, and we built like the sugar cube pyramids, and dressed up as the ancient gods and stuff, and learned all about that. But the culture is fascinating because Egypt was one of the greatest countries to exist in history, and what they did back then with their architecture, with their economy, was really second to none aside from Rome.
Plus the mystery behind their spirituality, their religions, and I mean, still to this day, we don't know how they built the pyramids. No one knows how they did it. And also the mysteries behind like the Sphinx, where they say it's like 2000 BC was when the Sphinx was put there, but there's water erosion on there, and there wasn't water in that desert in Egypt until like 10,000 BC.
And apparently there was something on top of the Sphinx that was destroyed.
So like the mystery of ancient cultures, and even the American history that's covered in National Treasure, which obviously is fantasized. I mean, sensationalized, but there are still a lot of mysterious things about America in terms of the way they laid out Washington, D.C. You could get into like a rabbit hole of all these conspiracy theories.
Yeah, the Masonic temples.
The Freemasons and everything. And I mean, all those, the creators of the country were in these secret societies, and that's what I love about the National Treasure is the secret societies versus the ancient culture of ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I think if National Treasure wasn't such a big hit, then Da Vinci Code never would have probably come out, because it's very similar.
I don't know. The Da Vinci Codes, those books by Dan Brown are wildly popular. Those are some of the highest selling books of all time. Like 2 of them are in like the top 10, I think, of the last 2 decades. Dude,
oh my God.
He moves a lot of units.
I do remember when Da Vinci Code came out, everyone got it. Like everyone was talking about it.
It's like the Harry Potter, the 50 Shades of Grey books, and the Dan Brown books, like top 10. Like
and then the Bible.
I don't even think Bible's in the top 10 anymore.
Not anymore.
But I mean, that's the way culture has changed, you know?
But I was always fascinated with Egypt, and it's really cool. A lot of people would be surprised to know that there's actually a lot of greenery, a lot of farmland in Egypt, and their irrigation system was very complex back then, and they had a ton of agriculture there. And the major cities were actually pretty lush. It wasn't all just dry desert that we might assume. And also, my favorite fact about the pyramids is that they were actually smooth. And what was the mineral?
I believe it was limestone.
Limestone, like smooth white limestone was the surface of the pyramids, and they also had the golden tips. But over time, robbers took the valuable minerals, but they also used minerals from the limestone of the smooth cover of the pyramids to build new structures.
Well, because I think there was a war, and so like the city was destroyed.
Yeah.
And so they had to rebuild it, so they used the stones from the pyramids.
And there was a lot of architecture that was just completely destroyed and taken to build new structures afterwards.
But still, I think that's the thing about these movies is like the mystery elements of it. Like, I mean, the ultimate adventure films like Indiana Jones, especially The Mummy. I mean, in National Treasure, we have treasure maps. We're exploring ancient temples and ruins, or not super ancient with the National Treasure films, like a couple 100-year-old temples and secrets of these old societies and pasts. And just, I love the blend of these two films. They complement each other so much with the ancient culture and the modern old culture, because ancient, I think that classifies as like around BC probably.
Yeah. So, and also they owe everything to Indiana Jones.
100%.
Indiana Jones created this genre. Like before Indiana Jones, the action adventure, investigating these ancient ruins wasn't a thing.
I wouldn't say they invented the genre. They just kind of modernized it. There were still adventure films. I mean, The Mummy is based off the 1932 film The Mummy.
Yeah, but that was a horror movie.
True,
I'm talking about like swashbuckling, adventure, international like travel movies. Like Indiana Jones created that.
Yeah, you're right. But before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost podcast is to share us with your family and friends, or become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. Patrons get perks like personalized videos, podcast schedule so you can see ahead of time if we were doing an episode on The Mummy and National Treasure. Top tier patrons get monthly shout-outs on the podcast, which we will do in a couple episodes for the next month. And the best perk of all is every patron, no matter if you're the $2, $5, $10 tier, you have access to our weekly Patreon-only bonus episodes, which post every Tuesday. Head on over to our website, RaidersOfTheLostPodcast.com, to see all of our content, our merch, our custom movie posters. Follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. Thank you so much for tuning around the world, and we appreciate you so much. Let's get back into The Mummy then, and National Treasure.
And what makes them so great also are the leads. You have Nic Cage, who is himself a national treasure.
Yeah, National Treasure, the movie is a national treasure, but Nic Cage is also a national treasure.
Love the guy, and especially his recent spew of like really weird, crazy, interesting movies. But he was a huge star. He was doing Jerry Bruckheimer movie after Jerry Bruckheimer movie. He was doing a ton of big movies. You had Con Air, The Rock, these two. Like, he was doing a ton of them. And he did eventually get tired of working on big sets and on working in huge productions. The pressure of it, the exactness of the creativity, where he wasn't able to like stretch his acting chops, just say what's on the line, what's on the page, and don't add anything else to it. So I think he got sick of it, and that's why he's doing all these weird movies now. And then also Brendan Fraser was an icon when we grew up on his movies, and we loved him, and I think he really made The Mummy what it was.
He was launched into the stratosphere with The Mummy and then the Mummy franchise, because all three of his trilogy of the Mummy movies were very successful movies, even though number 2 and number 3 aren't great films, still very successful. And I mean, the franchise itself, they spawned The Scorpion King, which came out in, I think, 2001, and then also they tried to reboot The Mummy with Tom Cruise, which was a huge missed opportunity, because Universal was trying to do a dark universe, and they were going to reboot all their monster movies like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, and The Mummy. The Mummy was atrociously bad. It bombed. But The Invisible Man is the one bright light that is kind of keeping that possibility alive.
But the Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man was not part of their plan.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp was going to play the Invisible Man.
In terms of the story that they did.
And it was going to be a big movie, and then because of the failure of The Mummy, they kind of rethought their entire idea of the universe, and they went to they're now going with the route of, let's make small independent movies that aren't connected in a universe. We don't need to do an Avengers Marvel universe for this dark universe. And so The Invisible Man was a fantastic movie. I've said many times it was my second favorite movie last year after The Father. But also The Mummy with Tom Cruise, it was missing fun, it was missing humor, it was missing that adventure, escapism.
It was too silly,
too dark at times.
He gets superpowers at the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and it was pretty dark for a lot of it, and just it wasn't very interesting or entertaining at all. So they missed what made the Brendan Fraser movies so much fun. And Brendan Fraser, I think, as Rick O'Connell, is the closest thing to Indiana Jones we've had in terms of the character and performance. He has the charm, he has the action chops, he has the wit, and he just has that intangible charm that Harrison Ford has.
And also what I love about his character, Rick O'Connell, in terms of Indiana Jones, he's got like a very similar like outfit, a character wardrobe to Indy, but it's revamped, and so it's different. It's the same like era, basically.
It's more of a military-esque version of the Indiana
But his
Jones
wardrobe
outfit.
is iconic. Like, if you saw someone at a Halloween costume dressed as Rick O'Connell, you'd be like, that's the guy from The Mummy. I can spot that.
Just get a wig with parted hair.
Yeah,
and you're
whereas
good.
the same thing with Indy, you get the costume like that. You know, that's what I love about it.
And for Rick, he has the guns in terms of Indy having the whip.
Yeah.
So those are the
He
two
does use a
pack-
gun sometimes.
Yeah, but it's never his own. He never carries a gun.
But the adventure movies is still so fun. It's a broad category, adventure. And I think The Mummy, between National Treasure and The Mummy, is the one that really captures that magic that Indiana Jones does with the adventure genre that Indy mastered. Not that National Treasure isn't a great adventure, but it's not really I think it's not really that close in terms of quality of a film.
Well, you're traveling to like Philadelphia.
Yeah, but still,
It's not like you're going to Cairo.
The filmmaking, I mean, though, it's it's not quite there.
Yeah. I just think I think the sets have a lot to do with it, and the international travel of The Mummy.
But I mean, it's not like the cinematography's blowing you away in National Treasure. Come on.
No, it's not.
But adventure films, they come out every year. But you could probably say that Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and The Mummy are the two definitive adventure films of the 21st century. You could say Lord of the Rings, but that's an absurd level of filmmaking and all the fantasy elements.
That's a lot more than just adventure.
I wouldn't strictly put that in the adventure category.
No way. It has intense themes, and it has a lot of meaning behind it.
And National Treasure is almost there. It's not quite like a brilliantly made movie like The Mummy, I think, is.
It has its pretty slow moments, and it has a couple of silly moments that kind of take you out of it, but otherwise it's a hit.
Yeah, but let's get into The Mummy first. How about that?
Yeah, we did a vote on our Instagram to see which our audience liked better, and it was a very close vote, but The Mummy won, what was it, 52% to 48%?
Actually, last time I checked, the National Treasure went down to 42%.
Okay.
And so The Mummy's at 58%. I honestly thought it was going to be like 90-10, The Mummy.
I thought it was going to be neck and neck, but I did know that I felt that The Mummy would win for sure.
I guess I underrated how much people like National Treasure. Not that I don't love National Treasure.
People love it.
National Treasure is like the perfect, like, I feel like crap today, I'm hungover, I just need to buy...
Just watch Nic Cage.
I need to spend some time watching an adventure film.
And also what I love about these movies is it's before superheroes.
Yeah.
It's before everything that came out in the summer was a
there were
superhero movie.
superheroes.
I know, but I'm talking like
MCEU.
I'm talking every month there's a superhero movie.
MCU,
This is when all that was coming out was Spider-Man and X-Men, and that was it. Blade was before this.
No, Blade was coming out.
I guess, yeah. Blade.
So I
3.
just proved your point completely wrong.
Wow, you just shattered my
there
life.
There are multiple superhero franchises.
How will I recover?
I don't know.
No one will ever take me seriously again.
Never. I don't take you seriously ever.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
This is like these were the big summer movies: The Mummy, The National Treasure, Pirates. You know what I mean? It wasn't, no superpowers. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and so
don't even say The Mummy has superpowers.
I didn't say that. I was gonna say who directed it. My goodness, so defensive today. The Mummy was written and directed by Stephen Sommers. The story was also done by Lloyd Fonville and Kevin Jarre. It was a remake of the 1932 film of the same name at an archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hamunaptra. An American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for the reincarnation of his long-lost love. This was an $80 million budget, and it was super successful, $415 million worldwide.
I read that Stephen Sommers, the director, the day after the movie came out, that next morning, Universal called him and said, we need another one.
Yeah, I think it probably had like a $60-70 million weekend opening, which was huge back then.
I remember waiting in line for it at the theater.
Oh, this is a great movie to see in theaters.
Now, I remember when I was a kid, I was like kind of nervous. I was like, this looks scary, but
it
also
is scary.
looks awesome. It is. That's what's great about the movie is it doesn't water down anything. There are really scary moments, and the CGI of the Mummy is really fantastic. They knocked it out of the park. It looks great.
Yeah, it still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, much better than the sequels.
But the Mummy Returns, the CGI is atrocious. It's laughably bad, especially when we see the Scorpion King towards the end and his reincarnation with CGI. It looks worse than like Madden 1998 video game.
I think there are two reasons for it. First of all, Industrial Light and Magic did the first one, so that's George Lucas's company, and they didn't do the second one. And also, this being so successful, and like how I said, the studio exec called up Sommers, was like, we need one ASAP. I think they put a release date on the second one before they even started writing the script.
Probably.
And same thing that happened with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The CGI is not that great compared to the second one, and it's only a year apart because they rushed it just to meet the release date. Therefore, they were unable to make the CGI look good, and they just had to make it look adequate. So I think that's why, even though Returns came out 2 years later, the CGI looks like it's 10 years older.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Not even just the Mummy being horrible and the Scorpion King.
With shots of Egypt.
The green screen behind them when they're on the blimp floating, it looks worse than if you put a matte painting behind them. It's so bad.
But you can argue when we saw the movie, we loved it. And we didn't think it looked bad.
Yeah, I mean, we were 11.
Yeah. But that's who the movie's made for.
True,
so
you're right.
It's fine. I think they understood, like, kids want to see this movie. They don't care about what the CGI looks like. Nowadays, they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all kids' cartoons are CGI now. They're not even cartoons anymore. But, I mean, the CGI holds up pretty well with The Mummy. And
I think very well.
I think The Mummy looks fantastic, especially the concept where he's comes back to life and he needs to start gathering those organs and getting them from the canopic jars that the Americans have taken, and he gradually becomes more and more of a man, you could say. And the CGI looks great when he's like changing form basically each time.
Yeah, and the original design of the Mummy is really excellent. It's very scary, and his voice is terrifying, but also like the way he moves is kind of animated, like his jaw like unhinges left and right, and how the Scarabeetos are always crawling around him. It's excellent monster design, because the first one is very scary. And the original Mummy, it was terrifying for audiences. They had rarely seen anything that scary like that. Nosferatu, and that was a time when Universal was making a ton of monster movies.
Yeah, and so the Mummy, the original from 1932, it's a pretty similar plot. Imhotep has been excavated, and the people reading the engravings and reading the curse by accident awakening him, and then Imhotep disguises himself as an Egyptian. In the movies, him trying to resurrect his lover Anck-su-namun. So basically, it's probably, you could say, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns in a way in one movie, kind of.
Well, that sounds like the plot of just The Mummy.
Yeah, true. But also in the second one, we learn more about their relationship.
That's the weakness with the second one. They did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think that was a huge missed opportunity with Universal in terms of the Mummy sequels is, why do a Mummy sequel? Why not take Rick and Evelyn O'Connell and do like a monster universe where they did the Mummy, they solved that. Now they're going to do like Dracula and Transylvania, or they're going to do Frankenstein, and like they could have done like the Lorraine and Ed from The Conjuring.
Yeah.
It's like a couple who's going to solve all these like monster mysteries.
That is a great idea.
Wouldn't that have been so much better?
Universal, where's our call? Where's the phone call?
They just want bags of money, man.
Yeah, they need another Mummy movie. You know what I mean? Because the third Mummy movie, it's not in Egypt. You know, it's a Chinese tomb, a Chinese mummy per se. So they could have definitely done that. That would have been excellent.
That would have been so sick. I would see.
And then they could have done the monster universe that way.
They could have done so many different monsters.
Yeah, they could have done
the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
I mean, have Evelyn go like, we need Evelyn to extract Dracula from this castle or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. She needs to read these ruins.
That's a great idea. But also Evelyn, I think she's such a great contrast to Rick. That the characters are also what makes this movie. Rick O'Connell with Evelyn is excellent, and because she's all the brains and he's all the brawn, you know what I mean? And their chemistry together is really great for a big movie and two lead actors. Their chemistry is excellent.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are phenomenal. Their chemistry is off the charts. Rick O'Connell, he's like the ultimate protagonist who becomes a better man at the end of the film versus what he was at the beginning. He's a former soldier turned treasure hunter. He's brave, heroic, but also flawed in a lot of ways. He's very selfish and arrogant. He has been to Hamunaptra, so he's their guide to get there. And Evelyn is also impossibly charming, just like Rick, but in her own way. She's actually based on Evelyn Beauchamp, who was a real Egyptologist, and her father was a famous Egyptologist, too, in the 1930s.
Her father excavated Imhotep's tomb
that's pretty
in
cool.
1929.
And Evelyn's very articulate. She's intelligent and educated. She's also recklessly fearless, where she gets herself into trouble because she always wants to do things that, you know, she probably should think twice about. And her only flaw really is probably clumsiness.
I am a librarian.
And then the original disbelief in the impossible, you could say.
Yeah.
Because she accidentally, you could say ignorantly, awakens Imhotep from reading from the Book of the Dead.
It feels like her role is like Audrey Hepburn could have played it 40 years ago. You know what I mean? She has that same quality as Audrey in this movie.
Yeah.
And just that clumsiness I love when she knocks down all the bookshelves in that row.
It's so funny because Evelyn in the library knocks down all the bookshelves and the cases. Then in Mummy Returns, her son knocks down all the pillars inside that tomb. So that he's just like his mother in a way.
And it's very classical filmmaking, and I love that set is so much fun. And they did that in one take, that entire scene, because it would have taken another entire day just to redress the set after the bookshelves, and they really did all fall down. No need for special effects. Just let's do it for real.
Why not? Let's do it.
Let's go.
And then we have Jonathan, Evelyn's brother, who's brilliant comic relief, and every joke he says lands in these movies.
He's very funny.
But Jonathan is obsessed with very shiny things. He's always got his fingers out looking for gold or something, and it often gets him into trouble. And he's just really going to Hamunaptra for the treasure. You know, his sister's going, but he just wants some money.
Yeah.
And then Oded Fehr is a Meji member, and the Meji are basically the protectors of Hamunaptra, and
his name's Ardith Bey in the movie.
Oh, that's the actor, Oded Fehr. Sorry. But the Meji are their purpose in life, and they're like a secret society, you could say, of warriors who defend Hamunaptra and are trying to prevent Imhotep from ever rising.
And those men are supposed to be tattooed from head to foot, like completely covered in tattoos. But the director, Stephen Sommers, said that he was so handsome they didn't want to cover his face with tattoos.
Good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And also he's famous for being in Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo.
Oh, yeah. He's like the original
he takes
Gigolo, right?
He takes his clients when he leaves.
That's right. That's so funny. And then Imhotep, who in 1290 BC, Imhotep was the high priest of Osiris under the rule of Pharaoh Seti I, had an affair with his mistress Anck-su-namun. And actually there was a real Imhotep, which we just referenced earlier, and he was one of the main advisors of the pharaoh at the time, and he was an architect. He practiced medicine.
He designed most of the pyramids. He was their most accomplished architect.
I think he was the first person to develop the pyramids. The first pyramids were developed by him.
He was regarded as probably the most brilliant Egyptian ever.
And so he was around in 2600 BC, most notably the pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara. And so, yeah, he was actually a real guy, but he wasn't like an evil person.
Yeah, he didn't have an affair with the Pharaoh's wife.
But the thing with Imhotep, and he's actually played by, what's his name? He's a South African actor. Hold on, I got it right here. Arnold Vosloo, who I'm sure you've seen in other stuff as well, everybody. He does a phenomenal job because Imhotep is a complex character because he's like this lover who you empathize with because he's, wants to be with the Nux and the Moon.
Yeah.
But then he's also a man-eating mummy.
But you empathize with him. You understand him.
So it's back and forth, back and forth relationship with this guy.
Yeah, and he's pretty gross looking at first.
But the thing with Imhotep, and I love how we learn about the curse that was put upon him because once it's found out that he had this affair with Nux and the Moon, after he tries to take her body to Amenoptera to restore her life through that ritual, when they find out during the ritual so they can't finish being carried out, he gets the curse of Hamdai put on him. Well, his priests, they get mummified alive, which is horrible enough. But the curse of Hamdai, the ritual involves cutting out of his tongue, mummifying him alive, and sealing him in a sarcophagus filled with the carnivorous scarab beetles. And the curse transforms Imhotep into an undead fiend kept in a state of living death with the intention that he would suffer being eaten alive by the scarabs for all time. However, if he's ever revived, he would gain control over sand and other elements together with being virtually invincible. So you get superpowers, but also you're getting eaten by scarab beetles forever.
Man, those scarab beetles were the worst part about the movie. They were terrifying.
I was scared of beetles for years.
I used to think they were real. I thought for a while they were real things. And I was like, I'm never going to Egypt because I don't want to go near them.
I wonder if there were, obviously there were scarab beetles, but
no, like, they were, but they just
eating.
They ate like
it's like piranhas.
Other insects, and like I think they would chew on corpses. They didn't like eat people alive.
Yeah,
because they were so tiny they could possibly do that.
Ugh, terrible.
But that's one of the best elements of the movie, the scarab beetles. Like especially when that first one we see crawls into that guy's arm all over his body.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and then up his head.
And then in his chest and stuff. That was terrifying. This movie's really scary.
Yeah, it's terrible.
They don't make kids movies like this anymore.
It's a good like horror elements to it too.
I believe it was PG-13, but I think we were like 9 or 10 when it came out, so we saw this when we were young.
Yeah, it's PG-13.
Yeah.
Versus National Treasure, I think that is PG.
2001.
It's PG.
Yeah.
But the thing with The Mummy is it has everything you need in an adventure film. We have great humor, we have romance, we have great sets and locations, and we're traveling different areas. We have the horror elements, we have the ancient cultures, we have treasure maps, we also have the concept of like guns and swords and dynamite versus this supernatural power.
And there's so much, like there's that great horse/camel chase to the hidden city, which is so much fun. And when the mirage appears, it's like, oh my god, that's so wild.
Yeah.
And there's so many elements to this. And that opening battle when Rick gets separated from the army and he discovers like the tomb of Imhotep, which scares him away. That's a great action sequence. So there's so much to it. And then the third act of the movie, it reminds me of a Chris Nolan third act movie where there's 3 different things going on at the same time. Evie's fighting Nux and the Moon. Rick's fighting the guards as well as the guards, and then Imhotep is chasing down Jonathan for the book.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So you have that triptych 3-act structure of 3 things happening simultaneously.
Except no time elements.
No time elements, no. But it's how Nolan does his third act.
Yeah, but I think obviously the best part of the Mummy franchise is Brendan Fraser, and it's so unfortunate that he basically disappeared from Hollywood for so long. His belief, and I think a lot of people believe that he was blacklisted because, according to him, he was biggest star in the world probably. He was in the Mummy franchise.
And then he was in Journey to the Center of the Earth. And then he was in some good independent movies, dramatic ones.
But then his career, he was doing like voicing characters on the Fairly Odd Parents. He was doing TV movies. He wasn't doing big roles. Yes, he kind of had a resurgence recently where he was on Doom Patrol, but again, he's a character with a metal face and altered voice.
And we're talking biggest star in the world to you're voicing a second-rate comic book character.
And like every outlet's writing articles about you every year, like what happened to Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
And so what happened to him is he claims he was sexually accosted by the former head of the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Agency.
And now the HFP, they handle the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
They're international critics.
Yeah, and so this alleged encounter made him retreat from the spotlight and also put forward the argument that offered other major roles to studios. Those offers stopped coming from him. His phone stopped ringing because I'm sure that if he's being honest about what happened, that the Hollywood Foreign Press were like, stop giving him roles. Like, we don't want him in movies anymore.
And it's not like his career died. He had just done Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was a big hit.
Yeah, it was huge.
Such a big hit that for the sequel, they cast Dwayne Johnson in his role, basically. Not the same character, but taking over his part, basically.
Yeah, and then Fraser recently, thank goodness for the Time's Up campaign, the Me Too movements, he took that as a way to confidently come forward and speak out against what happened to him. And recently, the last year and a half, we've seen him coming back, and he just got cast in a Martin Scorsese movie, and he's got a bunch of other films and projects working. And, it's so great to see him back because everyone loves Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Every time we post a clip about Fraser, people become ecstatic. They should, like we did the clip announcing his casting in the Scorsese movie, and I think there are 3,000 comments of people just sending love, so happy that he's in a major movie again.
The king is back.
Yeah, and it's not, and yes, he's working on Doom Patrol, but like we're talking like big Hollywood movie with the best director of all time.
And,
like,
he doesn't have a metal mask.
Yeah.
You get to see his face.
It's a big deal. It's a big step up.
And not that he wasn't in other projects where you could see his face recently, but this is a Martin Scorsese movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between, he's been doing stuff the last few years and doing a Scorsese movie.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think he represents, like, I think a lot of people maybe wouldn't have assumed that a man could have been a victim of a Me Too type situation. And so I think he's definitely bringing to light that the industry can be toxic even for men.
Yeah, same thing with Terry Crews. He had a very similar situation happen to him, and it's great that everyone's coming to speak forward about, there's a lot of bad people in this business in Hollywood, so it's good to finally
get rid of them,
hear voices, and get new people in there. And the Hollywood Foreign Press, they've kind of been canceled the last 2 years for other reasons as well.
Yeah.
But it's so great to have the king back in town.
Yeah, we love him.
Oh, yeah, he's the best.
But this movie, it's so much fun. It has everything you want in a Hollywood blockbuster, and it just hits every beat. It's all the jokes land, all the scary elements work. The special effects are amazing. I really love the plagues. Like we haven't seen that since what was the animated movie
Prince of
Egypt, and seeing the plagues fall upon Earth, so cool. The story, I think the script is really great. And it was so good that apparently, from what I read, Leonardo DiCaprio wanted to do The Mummy, and he wanted to play Rick O'Connell. And they wanted him to, but he had the commitment to the beach, and because he filmed the beach, he wasn't able to do The Mummy. But he wanted to be Rick O'Connell. That's how good the script is.
Yeah, the script is phenomenal because I think the characters are so well written, but also every character, their goals are very well done. And, Rick's goal is to... He's at first got a greedy goal. He's just out for himself. He's selfish. He wants to get paid. He's like, he doesn't care. Whatever. I'll take you there as long as you pay me. And then Evelyn's there for the history and the discovery of ancient things. And then Jonathan's there for greed as well. But also the Americans, they're there for greed. Everyone's clear-cut motivation. Then Imhotep, his motivation is to resurrect his long-lost love. And also I love his storyline and his arc of where he's trying to find his organs in his canopic jars to fully rejuvenate himself.
Bro, where are my organs?
Yeah, where's my liver? Jinx. That's a twin thing right there.
Imhotep.
And even Benny. Benny's a great character. Even though he's despicable, he's still a very fun character because he's very intelligent because he knows several languages. And I love how he constantly changes his allegiances out of self-preservation because even in the battle in the beginning, he's on Rick's side, but then he abandons Rick as soon as they come charging. So he's in these then he's with the Americans trying to get their allegiance and work for them. And then he's working for Imhotep, so he just does what is best for survival for him.
Look who's on the wrong side of the river.
Look who's got all the horses, Rick.
But he gets what he deserves in the end.
Oh, absolutely.
And oh my God, when he's surrounded by the scarab beetles and then the fire goes out.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's epic.
But he has so many great scenes too, and I think the first time he meets Imhotep is one of my favorite scenes in the movie where, again, he knows so many languages and he has all those different religious necklaces around his neck and he's trying to figure out which necklace and which religion should I pray to for him to recognize and spare me.
Exactly.
And then he finds the right one.
But I think one of the best moments is when we finally see the mummy's face. Because the first guy he kills, we see him out of focus. And then we see the guy's reaction to him.
Oh, yeah, because he doesn't have his glasses on.
Yeah, so we don't see what he looks like. But Evelyn sees him for the first time as well as the audience. And that's when we first get our first great look at the mummy. And it is terrifying.
Yeah, and again, the CGI is very good in this movie. And especially the sandstorm CGI looks great when it's trying to eat him up in the plane and everything. So I think they just do a very good job overall with this movie production elements when it comes to doing CGI in 1999.
Yeah, I think this movie is a home run, and I really adore it.
Yeah, and again, it's a great movie. We love it so much. You want to do some fun facts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Brendan Fraser nearly died during that opening scene when he's about to be hanged by the noose. And Rachel Weisz said that the noose actually did strangle him by accident. It wasn't supposed to, but it knocked him out, and he stopped breathing. And Brendan Fraser had to be resuscitated back to life. So he was dead for some time, technically.
It was like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
He might not. He probably wasn't dead. He's just unconscious.
I don't know. What does resuscitated mean?
You just
They can just blow oxygen.
jump starting your lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think his lungs stopped, and maybe his heart stopped for a little bit, but
The story's better when you say that he almost died.
he almost died.
Well,
he did almost die.
I'm gonna
for sure.
embellish it in
Yeah.
TikTok.
Brendan Fraser was cast due to the success of George of the Jungle in 1997. Stephen Sommers also commented that he felt Fraser hit the Errol Flynn swashbuckling character he had envisioned perfectly. The actor understood that his character doesn't take himself too seriously. Otherwise, the audience can't go on that journey with him. That's what Brendan Fraser brings. I think the studio, they didn't want him at first because he seemed like a kind of a goofy, charming guy, but that's what's so great about the Rick O'Connell characters. Even though he looks like a super buff and like
How buff?
the jawline, the hair, he looks like an action hero. He's also charming, but also very goofy at the same time, which is a perfect blend.
Yeah, and Errol Flynn, he was famous for playing Robin Hood, so you can see the comparison between Robin Hood and this character for sure. An Egyptologist was brought in to phonetically render what ancient Egyptian might have sounded like for the dialogue.
That's pretty interesting.
So ancient Egyptian was different from regular Egyptian, just how English changed.
And this film was actually shot in Morocco on real locations in the real desert, real sandstorms, that were shutting down production and stuff like that. And so the cast and crew had to constantly deal with things like scorpions and snakes and animals and stuff like that, and extreme heat and stuff like that. So that's what I think it makes it so special is they're at real deserts. It's not Egypt, but they're pretty close and a similar looking aesthetic. But also I think they finished a lot of it up on sound stages in England, I believe.
Many crew members had to be airlifted out to the hospital after being bitten by things like spiders and scorpions. If I saw a scorpion, I'd be like, I'm done. See you later. Bye, guys. Good luck on the shoot.
I'd be in a hazmat suit walking around, just no open seals.
I think I've only seen a scorpion once in my life.
What, at a zoo?
In nature.
Where?
At camp.
When?
Prospect Hill Camp. We saw a little one.
There's scorpions in Massachusetts?
It was just one.
I don't know.
I'm sure there's some.
Are you sure you saw a scorpion?
Positive. Search. I'm sure there's scorpions in Mass.
Maybe. Are scorpions indigenous in Massachusetts? I don't have Wi-Fi, so I can't look right now.
Well, anyways.
The
white nightgown Evelyn wore when the ship was attacked became transparent when it got wet. So that had to be digitally painted white during post-production so the film could keep its PG-13 rating.
The editor probably took it was like, I needed like another month with this.
He's got his own raw files.
Oh my God, he probably does. What a sick guy. Even though
he's probably a sweetheart.
He's probably some old man just like, oh, she did such a great job.
He's like putting sticky notes on his computer so he doesn't have to look at it.
Oh man. We just attributed a perfect category to that guy. He's probably a sweet guy. George Romero actually almost made The Mummy. He wrote an original script for it in 1994, but then Sommers made an 18-page treatment of the story, and he got hired to make it. And according to Stephen Sommers, like you said, Universal phoned him the morning after it premiered, being like, yo, we need another one of these guys. Let's go, Mummy 2.
Yeah, Romero probably went all horror, not fun and adventure-y.
Probably a little too much, yeah.
And according to Stephen Sommers, the director, now this is back when CGI was still, and it's relatively new, and they were still developing the technology, so it was very expensive. And every single visual effect shot cost $125,000.
Holy crap. That's insane.
Because the amount of manpower and computer power to make each digital effect was a lot back then.
I mean, even Toy Story just came out in 1995, so you can only imagine. And The Matrix was great too, but it was still in its infancy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's head on into our intermission. But actually, before we go into our intermission, if I was buried alive inside a tomb in 1290 BC, I would make sure that I brought my lawnmower 4.0 trimmer with me to ensure that when I'm reunited with my Anuxina moon, that I'm looking my best. Head on over to manscaped.com to get the lawnmower 4.0 trimmer using our coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. This brand new groomer is waterproof, skin safe, has a 7,000 RPM motor, wireless charger, built-in light. It's amazing. You can use it in the shower if you want. You can shut the lights off and just do it in the shower with that. Fellas,
watch out for them scarab beetles.
Their products in general are just fantastic. I mean, their briefs are super duper comfortable. Their cologne smells legit. We don't even wear cologne, but they sent us in. Now we do. Their wipes are super convenient too. If you need to freshen up real quick, fellas, get to manscaped.com. Use our coupon code to get some products. Everyone listening, if you got a man in your life and you don't know what to get them for gifts, for anniversaries, birthdays, take a hint gift, anything you want, go to manscaped.com. Coupon code Raiders of the Lost at checkout for 20% off and free shipping worldwide, because these are gifts that guys will actually use. I swear by these products. They are so legit. And yeah, also their performance package 4.0s are pretty great. It has it's a bundle basically of great stuff.
Save a ton of money that way.
Good stuff. But anyways, let's head into our intermission.
Let's go.
And the first part of our intermission will be the movie quote competition. I have two. One from a fan, one from me. The quote from a fan, it's Patty Marie.
Oh, hey, Patty.
And she has two quotes from one movie that I'll try to do the voices for pretty well. Him too afraid to get out. He just a little guy. And then, ugh, I can actually hear you getting fatter.
That's in the same movie?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Him too afraid to get out. He just a little guy.
And then say the second one.
I can actually hear you getting fatter.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know it.
Fat guy in a little coat.
What's it called? Not Black Sheep, the other one.
It's a better one.
I can't remember what it's called.
Can't remember?
Yeah.
Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy.
Classic.
Great one.
Classic.
Great one.
And then this
I think I have a fan one too. You can say this one while I look for it.
Okay, this one's from me. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
I should know this.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
I don't know.
Dodgeball.
Oh,
White Goodman.
Dodgeball, yeah. Oh my God, how did I not know that one?
I like to break a mental sweat. You're reading the dictionary? Caught me.
I read it in a book.
We should mate. Date. We should date. Socially.
All right, here's my quote. He better be worth it. He better go home and cure a disease or invent a longer-lasting light bulb or something.
Oh, what is this? Say it again.
He better be worth it. He better go home and cure a disease or invent a longer-lasting light bulb or
I know
something.
what this is. I got this.
What is it?
I'll give everyone a moment. Saving Private Ryan.
That's correct.
Nice. All right. Guess this movie release year. Sherlock Jr. Buster Keaton movie.
1934.
10 years off. 1924.
Shit.
Silent film, bro.
There are silent films in the 30s.
There's turning into talkies.
Plenty of silent films in the 30s.
Turning into talkies. All right, your turn.
The original Planet of the Apes.
19. How old is the first one?
I don't know.
69.
It's close. 68.
Oh, I almost said 60. I don't,
But
whatever.
did you, though?
I didn't.
Did you die, though?
But did you die? Movie pop quiz time. In Gone Girl, what is the name of the bar that Amy buys Nick?
Oh. It's called The Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very meta.
Have I read the book? No, I just seen it a bunch. Okay. What was Arnold Schwarzenegger's first line as the Terminator?
Give me your clothes.
Not yet. Right before that. But you're thinking of the right scene.
What does he say? I don't know.
Nice night for a walk.
Ah.
Because the guys say that to him. They're like, hey, nice night for a walk, huh?
Yeah.
And then he goes, nice night for a walk.
All right. Biggest hater of the week. I have TikTok because they blocked us again from posting for 2 days.
Goddamn TikTok.
So we've been blocked for 6 days of the last 10 days from posting videos. It's pretty ridiculous.
Well, and you posted a clip of Mission Impossible.
It was behind the scenes of
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, a train crash. Probably shouldn't have done it, but I thought it was cool.
So I have a hater and also a top comment in the same.
Oh, okay.
So I posted a video of Reign of Fire, and that Larkin said, suggestion, please hashtag the name of the movie you're referencing. It's frustrating swimming through the comments to find it. So that's the hater because who cares? It takes you 2 seconds to Google Christian Bale dragons.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry I ruined your life.
God forbid you hop on Google on your own.
Or even just scroll down for 2 seconds and see 20 people wrote, "I love Rain of Fire."
We even say the words "Rain of Fire" in the clip.
Yeah.
The opening line
I
is
said it.
in Rain of Fire.
Yeah, I said it. Unreal.
nuts, man.
But then Jammer God defended us and said, "Chill out." So that was my favorite comment of the week.
All right. Biggest supporter of the week, we have Howoff, 2006. Left a great review. So fun. I can't say enough good things about this podcast. I saw the clips on TikTok and followed them here. James and Anthony remind me of my friends and I ranting and raving about movies. This is a fantastic podcast. Unsubscribe.
Thanks, pal.
On this day in film history, Slumdog Millionaire premiered at the Telluride Film Festival in 2008. Roma was released in 2018. The Favorite was released 2018. Inglourious Bastards 2009. Tropic Thunder 2008. Straight Outta Compton 2015. Pusher 1996. And it's also Cameron Diaz's birthday.
Happy birthday, Cameron.
We're sure you're listening. And then my streaming recommendation is Anaconda on Amazon Prime.
No way.
It's just it's a ridiculous movie, but it's fun.
It's a great movie.
John, what's his name?
Oh, John Voight.
John Voight is the villain in it. It's so great.
Ice Cube.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, it's great.
Cole Hauser. Cole Hauser's in it?
Yeah, he gets the throat injury.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then Owen Wilson's in it too.
Yeah, Owen Wilson. Yeah.
He's a supporting comic relief guy.
My streaming recommendation is The Wrestler. Just came out on Amazon Prime. Darren Aronofsky's one of his best movies, and Mickey Rourke gave an amazing performance with Evan Rachel Wood as well. So check that out. Crazy movie.
All right, and let's head on back into our episode and start talking about National Treasure.
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Which came out in 2004. A historian races to find the legendary Templar treasure before a team of mercenaries. Directed by John Turteltaub, this movie is fun. My one big knock is the music can be very cheesy at times.
The music is very cheesy, especially the action music. It's like electric guitar. Yeah.
It's all right.
That's Speed, too. That's Speed.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You just did Speed. No, that's not National Treasure.
It's got me.
National Treasure goes rocky, like with drums and guitar for all the action scenes.
Okay, you're right.
It does
Either way,
not
it's
work.
cheesy. Either
Yeah.
way, it's cheesy. This on Rotten Tomatoes is at 46%
What?
critic score, and then 76% audience score.
There we go.
Destroyed by critics. I forgot to give the Mummy one, but
What is the Mummy one?
I'd have to Google it. I don't have Wi-Fi right now. But like I said, National Treasure, despite its flaws, it's a national treasure in this movie. In this movie, Nicolas Cage steals the Declaration of Independence, and everyone agrees with it that it was ultimately the right thing to do. The film suggests that Freemasons hid clues to the world's greatest treasure on our money, and now we believe it because Nicolas Cage said it. And it's more of a great bad film than it is a great movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's why The Mummy won the vote.
Yeah, The Mummy's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal movie, but the National Treasure, you watch it, it's like, I'm having fun, but also, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, that's where I think the National Treasure is more of a guilty pleasure than The Mummy, because The Mummy's really, really great, and National Treasure has a lot of great elements to it and a lot of fun moments, but also there are moments where it's just like a little cheese ball.
Yeah.
It's like the car chase after he steals it was like pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
Not super well done, but it gets the job done.
You could nitpick the crap out of this movie, but still, it's just a blast. I mean, the cast is great, though. We have Nicolas Cage, Diane Kruger, Sean Bean doesn't die, Harvey Keitel, Christopher Plummer, John Lithgow, Justin Bartha, Eric King. So, like...
John Voight's in it, too.
Did I...
Yeah, you said John Lithgow instead of John
Oh, my
Voight.
bad. That's the second
They're
time.
different people. You just did it twice.
I did it twice. That's so weird.
They don't even look alike. They're just both old white guys.
All old white guys look the same, man. At some point, every old white guy looks exactly the same. Just like an old wrinkly face, just like pushed together.
Everyone looks like the old man from Up.
Yeah, basically. And again, the production value, directing, not exactly on par with The Mummy. Visually, it's not blowing you away. Set design, cinematography, anything like that. But man, it still works.
The production design blows you away. It's a really big movie, and the sets are huge.
Some of the sets are trash. What are you talking about? Like, where they're in the changing room of that store, and it's like, first of all...
Whoa. Okay, I know what you're talking about. They're in an Urban Outfitters.
Is it Urban Outfitters?
Yeah, and they're both in changing rooms next to each other. Daniel Craig and Nic Cage, but
no, it's Daniel Craig. All right, that's way worse than John Lithgow. Nick Cage.
At least they're both blonde.
No, Nick Cage and Daniel Craig are love interests in this movie.
I don't know how that came out.
Daniel Craig.
But Diane Kruger and Nick Cage are changing in adjoining stalls. And the doors to the changing rooms are like 4 feet high, so they're talking to each other out over the doors. It's like that would be a horrible thing to put in a store. Anyone could just like walk over and look who inside the changing room.
You can see right through it, basically.
So okay, that's the point. There are points that are cool and points that aren't cool. But like that ship in Antarctica is super cool.
Yeah.
That whole sequence.
Was
awesome.
that Charlotte? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Charlotte. And then the treasure room is insane, and the tombs are very cool. So
Yeah.
there are great elements.
Yeah,
to it.
there are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as artistic.
We
you know?
stop destroying it.
But no,
Daniel Craig loves this movie.
I love Daniel Craig and Nic Cage chemistry in this movie. But it still works, though. It works so well because we have great actors. We have a very fast-paced plot that's always moving and taking us in exciting new directions. We have the great mysteries. It's nostalgic. It's like taking a history class in elementary school and high school where we're learning about some fun facts and trivia about American history. There's a lot of fun, like problem-solving, decoding. We have anagrams. It's clever. There's thievery. It's basically a heist movie, too, at the same time. And again, we have ancient treasures as well as, like, secrets from a couple hundred years ago. And again, Sean Bean doesn't die.
And it basically has the exact same archetype story-wise and character-wise as The Mummy. I guarantee The Mummy inspired this movie because Nic Cage is Rick O'Connell, a charming, funny lead character. And then Diane Kruger, you could say, is like Evelyn, very intelligent, knows more... I would say, although Benjamin knows as much about the history as Abigail, but she definitely helps a lot along the way and is very intelligent. Riley is basically Jonathan, and then Ian, Sean Bean, is the Mummy.
You could say that.
Imhotep.
Yeah. I can get on top of that.
And they're all going after the same thing.
Although Benjamin's wardrobe in this movie is straight trash. Like, there's that one outfit where he's like, their first meeting with Diane Kruger's character.
Oh, it's so bad.
He's got like a black suit jacket on, then he has like a white Macy's button up with the collar super popped.
Out over the lapels.
It looks like Saturday Night Fever, but like pretty bad.
I think that Nic Cage designed that himself.
He probably showed up like, this is what I'm going to wear. With these blue jeans, too.
Oh, we don't need wardrobe.
Versus Rick O'Connell's wardrobe again.
Oh, yeah, with the Levi's.
Yeah.
It looks so bad.
Versus Rick O'Connell is iconic.
I have to tell you about movieposters.com, the best place to get your posters online today. We have a brand new coupon code with the website, so our old one will not work anymore.
It got shared too much online, so a lot of people are using it.
Yeah, it's out on the internet, so this is just for our show. We've changed it, so now the coupon code is Raiders15 off. Again, Raiders15 off. So if you use that code at movieposters.com, you will get 15% off your entire order. They have an incredibly large selection of movie posters, every kind of size, framing, backlighting, pretty much every movie imaginable. Movieposters.com has it. This is high quality stuff, and don't go to Amazon for the free shipping. It's not worth it because the quality is not good. We have it in our set. We have, like 24 of these posters, and they look fantastic. Again, go to movieposters.com. Use our coupon code Raiders15 off and get 15% off that order today.
In versus Rick O'Connell, I would say that it seems like Benjamin, they wanted to be more of like a James Bond kind of vibe in terms of like not the full-on action stuff, but I think the charisma in a way. They wanted to be more like a James Bond vibe.
So Daniel Craig.
So yeah, again, Daniel Craig and Nicolas Cage are the same person in this movie.
But what I really love, I think was really fascinating about American history that they put into this movie is the idea of the Masons, the Freemasons. We actually went to a Freemason temple in D.C.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it was one of the most beautifully designed interiors ever seen in my life. Their architecture was really unique. Their symbology and their dedication to symbology, the history of symbols and calligraphy. Really,
say symbol one more time.
Symbology. Really fascinating culture, and it's like a secret society that still is very prevalent, but we don't know anything about it still. Very mysterious, very intriguing, and it did start way back before the country was even founded. And I think it's putting that into the story really helped add to the intrigue of the movie itself.
Yeah, if anyone's ever been to Washington, D.C., it's a really stunning city because the architecture is like is unlike any other city in America, really. And a lot of it was based off Greek and Roman architecture from their ancient cultures, like Acropolis, the Pantheon, all the domes, the Duomos, the Arch of Constantine. So they all... The creators and founders of this country, when they were building Washington, D.C., took a ton of influence from those cultures, and it's really apparent. It's a stunning place to go visit, to check out if you love architecture and buildings and stuff like that. But also the great conspiracy theories of Washington, D.C., and like what's underneath, like all these secret tunnels and like crypts, and like George Washington's crypt that's supposed to be like under the Capitol building that he was never really supposed to be buried in, but what else is under there? And like, what are the secrets of America that all these elite people who probably know they have they know everything. Like
the eyes wide shut people know.
What are they hiding from us? Like, what's really going on
The
there?
super elites.
Yeah, because it's just like the pyramids where it's like they're perfectly aligned with constellations and like they know exactly where the North and South poles are, even though it's 2000 BC when they built them. It's like, and then same thing with Washington, D.C., and they have all different elements that relate to spirituality, space, and
history
and all sorts of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating culture-wise, and also speaking of the Declaration and the Constitution especially, they drew from those ancient cultures the ideas and themes of what would go into the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. So the Founding Fathers very much followed what many philosophers, many kinds of governments were tried out in Rome and Greek and those kinds of cultures as well.
In this movie, it has very good protagonists and very good antagonists. You know, Sean Bean as the antagonist is very effective, like he always usually is when he plays a villain. But it seems
he is essentially the James Bond villain in this movie.
Well,
same thing.
He plays this, same guy from GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Same person basically.
They're friends at first, and then
he turns on them.
Yeah.
But you can say that Benjamin kind of hosed them in a way because he's like funding all these excavations and trips to try to find this treasure. And you can tell that like when they're in Charlotte and he's like, I thought you said the treasure would be here. And Nick's like, I said it might be here or it could be here. And then the look that Sean Bean does, he's like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this guy.
This is like the 12th expedition we've been on.
You know how many buried ships we've been in, man?
Yeah, you can only imagine how many things they've tried out.
Exactly. So he's probably sick of it.
And it will lead to another clue. And that will lead to another clue.
So Sean Bean's character is just sick of Benjamin's BS.
Yeah.
So you can understand why he turns on him and he wants to be in control of the whole situation.
I don't blame him, honestly. Trying to kill him is a little too much.
When you look at it that way, though, it's like, bro, I put like $10 million into this.
And also, like, why would you blow that ship up? It would probably be very valuable to sell that to a museum or something.
It's a movie, man.
Yeah.
And would that gunpowder still be be able to be ignited?
I don't know.
Flammable? That's the word I'm trying to think of in my tiny brain.
Still be ignited.
Sometimes when you're talking for so long,
I know.
The words don't come.
I call Dan Kirk or Daniel Craig. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But at least you know they're in an Urban Outfitters.
But they're both blonde, so I was close.
Anyways, let's get back to Ian is the lead villain in this film. And it's a good plot because he's constantly on the tail behind Benjamin, and then obviously gets the upper hand a few times with him where, Benjamin tricks him by giving him the fake Declaration of Independence that he just conveniently goes inside that little store to buy an exact replica of the Declaration of Independence and a couple of flip-flops and switches, and then
Ian can do anything with the computer.
Basically. No, not Ian, it's
Riley.
Riley, yeah. It's just like we posted that meme on Instagram where it's like hackers in movies be like, all right, I'm in.
I'm in.
With the glowing neon shoes and already in within seconds.
But I really like that sequence where they reveal like the kind of protections are upon these documents, like what exactly is like the laser lights and the insane sensory, like all these crazy things that the government puts in place to protect the most sacred documents in the country.
What's even cooler is that they somehow found that all on Google. Like PDFs able to be downloaded and everything. Oh, okay. Thanks for the blueprints on how to steal the Declaration of Independence.
No props. You want to know the layout of the entire building? No problem.
Hey, we also having a gala next week. You want to steal it during that? We'll probably be distracted.
You know what would be a good time for you to steal the Declaration?
It's so funny because it's trying to be Mission Impossible in Oceans at the same time, but it's like, how does he know all this information? Like, he's never really stolen stuff before.
Yeah, but Riley can do anything.
Yeah, Riley can just plug in.
So I think that Benjamin's character, if I remember correctly, he is a expert diver and was a rescue diver. So he has experience in terms of like
stealing Declarations of Independence. I get it now. That makes sense.
I mean, you know how many documents are in the ocean?
so if the Declaration of Independence was like 100 feet underwater, he'd know how to grab
Benjamin's your guy.
This is a silly episode.
That's something they missed in the movie. Like, he's an expert diver and was a rescue diver, but they didn't do anything with water in this movie.
He jumps off the bridge.
Oh, never mind.
Off the pier.
Way off.
6-year Danny Craig stuff. He jumps off the pier because he double crosses the FBI.
Yeah,
when they have him.
Harvey's like, where is he?
Harvey's a fun FBI agent because, he's just like the city talking.
He's just Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, but it's so funny how they constantly let Benjamin get away with everything. He's like, as long as someone goes to prison, I don't care. He's like, you've committed all these crimes, Benjamin. You stole the Declaration of Independence. But you know what? Thanks for telling us where Ian's going to be. We'll just take him instead.
Who's going to prison?
Somebody always goes to prison.
I'm closing my eyes and I'm pointing. Ian!
It's basically a get out of jail free card as long as you just leave it to someone else to get in trouble.
They gave him a pass because he found the treasure. How is that a good thing for the government? Like, how does that expunge him of crimes?
They do care a lot about money.
Well, no, it's because he saved the Declaration.
He still stole it.
Yeah, but he saved it.
He still stole it.
He did steal it.
Committed a lot of crimes.
Yeah.
And technically, he kind of kidnapped Diane Kruger's character. No, she comes willingly.
She went voluntarily.
All right, yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Ian did it, they could have called it kidnapping.
Yeah.
Anyways. This movie's ridiculous. It's a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, it's great. And Nic Cage and Diane Kruger are a lot of fun together. I'm not sure they have quite the same chemistry as Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser, though.
Yeah, I don't fully believe that they're like in love with or falling in love with each other even towards the end. But when they're together at the end, you're like, oh, it makes sense. I like it.
They could date for a couple months.
Yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't work out, though.
But you're right. Basically, and then the second one is just like it, where they're very rich and they've sold off a bunch of treasure and just another new mystery.
They get, I think they get 1%. No, half of 1%.
No, they get 1%. Riley wanted to get 10%.
Yeah.
But then it's like the reveal, like, oh, we only get 1%, but it's like 200 million.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It's pretty nuts.
But again, it's fun because we're on a treasure hunt, and we're learning all these secrets about Benjamin Franklin and the glasses that change with whatever you're looking at with the different colors, and something is actually written on the back of the Declaration of Independence, and God forbid, like they put lemon juice on it. It's just like, all right, I guess that'll work. Don't worry.
And then I love how Riley's always like the third wheel. Like he's never getting to look at anything. And like he's just begging them to use the glasses and he doesn't get a chance to.
Poor guy.
And it will lead to another clue.
John Voight, man. It's so funny because he's like, I wasted 20 years of my life. What were you doing?
Yeah.
You didn't have a single clue. What were you doing for 20 years, John Voight?
I don't know.
You had the letters.
He got the letters. That was it.
That's about it. But you gave him away to the museum.
But I will say the one clue that I think wouldn't work is the Liberty Bell clue with the shadow, because obviously every season the exact position of the sun to the planet is different. It changes over the course of the year, and so they would have to get to that clue at the right day of the year for it to actually work. So the odds of that happening, a little too hard to believe.
You're nitpicking way too much, man. I'm just kidding. That's everything about this movie you can nitpick.
Yeah, the whole movie's ridiculous, but
there's
fun.
Something written on the back of the Declaration of Independence and they steal it.
Well, there actually is something written on the back.
You know what would have been better if they were just like, hey, FBI, someone's going to steal Declaration of Independence. This is this guy's Ian's name. Even if he steals the Declaration, Ian does, the FBI would be like, oh, it's probably this guy Ian. Let's go find him. And movie's over.
Yeah, true.
But that's not fun.
It is not fun.
It's a lot more fun when we're watching Nic Cage and Diane Kruger going on this fun mission. Daniel Craig. Nic Cage and Daniel Craig in a budding romance, going on a treasure hunt, going inside the Liberty Bell, pulling bricks out and getting these magic glasses, and putting lemon juice on the Declaration of Independence, and then getting shot at holding the Declaration of Independence. It's a blast.
Oh yeah.
It's a good time.
And this one clearly had a lot of inspiration. I think more inspired by Indy than The Mummy, because of the way he, especially at the end when they enter that what's it called, the church with the tombs in it, and that's where they find the treasure. Very much reminded me of Last Crusade.
Yeah.
When they're in the library and they enter that tomb on the bottom.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
And then this movie, on a budget of $100 million, it grossed $347 million worldwide.
Also, DVD sales.
Yeah, so
Get factored.
This is why I don't understand why Disney still hasn't tried to reboot it, even though they made the second one.
You want a reboot? What is wrong with you?
Well, you could probably do a good one with a good director.
Aren't you sick of reboots though?
No, I meant a third sequel.
Oh,
third movie
with Nick.
Yeah, with Nick, of course.
You gotta have Nic Cage.
But he probably doesn't want, like we said, doesn't want to do studio movies anymore.
Yeah, no
big
way.
Ones,
yeah,
which is why he was in Pig, in Mandy.
In the last 10 movies.
Yeah, so we love Nick. Nick is great. But yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about
Want to do some
National
trivia?
Treasure. Let's do it. What you got?
Hold on, let me clear my throat. The water in the reflecting pool in front of the Abraham Lincoln Memorial was actually empty during the filming, and they digitally put the water into it. They did the same thing for Forrest Gump when they both run at each other inside of the pool. There was no water currently in it, so they digitized that as well.
Cool. Ben Patrick and John Gates are all named after founding fathers: Benjamin Franklin, Patrick Henry, and John Adams. Abigail Chase is a combination of Abigail Adams, wife of John Adams, and Samuel Chase, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and later an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
Very cool.
And then, I love how John Hancock was just like such a D-bag with the space. He's just like, my name's John Hancock.
I know, right?
Huge amount of space.
Jesus.
Everyone else is like, I'll leave space for Ben.
Imagine the reactions of the guys after they saw him. They're like, really, John?
No, they're probably like, of course, John. Did you
obviously.
see John's signature? It is huge. Like, can you believe that guy?
That guy's ego.
Of course, man. Of course, Johnny Hancock.
He didn't even write it.
Beautiful signature, though.
Yeah. That's all my trivia.
When Gates is purchasing a replica Declaration of Independence in the gift shop, on the counter next to the register is a stack of books for sale. The book is The Secret Architecture of Our Nation's Capital by David Ovasson and is about the Masons in the building of Washington, D.C. Ovasson also wrote secret symbols of the dollar bill, and U.S. currency is used as one of the clues in the film.
Ooh, nice.
That's what I'm saying. You could research stuff and Google stuff about Washington, D.C. architecture for hours and hours.
Did Dan Brown ever do an American history one?
I don't know.
I bet he could do a good one.
He's done stuff other than Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He did like this hacker book. I can't remember what it's called that I read was pretty cool. But I don't know if he's done like American history, like treasure hunt like that. The Liberty Bell shown in this movie was made of styrofoam. The movie was shot a few days before the Liberty Bell. The movie was shot a few days before the Liberty Bell was put in. This is proven by the fact that protective shades were installed in the observation window when the bell was installed. In the movie, Ian looks exactly where the shades are supposed to be if the real bell was there.
No shades.
No shades. All right, yeah, I think I'm good on trivia for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love National Treasure.
Yeah, these are, again, just very fun adventure films. The Mummy, I think, is a superior film to National Treasure, but it doesn't mean it's not a good time.
I'm picking The Mummy too.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
National Treasure is awesome as well.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this adventure episode of The Mummy and National Treasure on Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to become a patron at patreon.com/RaidersOfTheLostPodcast.com today. And thanks for tuning in.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.